All right. We are live.
We're live.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back to That Mystery Show. Um, I'm your host, Carla from Miss Kulala's Mystical Musings, and I have returning guest, Phil, who is. I pick you, Phil. Like to pick on you, Phil. I like to pick your brain. Um,
Yeah.
Young and already extremely knowledgeable is very admirable, and I love that.
Yeah.
So we've been discussing Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and the last episode we discussed Atlantis and the gods of antiquity.
Over here talking with somebody real quick.
All right, now no problem.
Give me 1 minute, man.
So we got a couple people in chat. Hello, Lady Blind Wolf. And Maria says, I'll watch the replay due to the time difference, but have a great podcast. Thank you so much. So, and yes, anyone catching the replay, I thank you so much for being here also. Now, today we are talking about the life and teachings of Thoth, Hermes, Trismegistus. Now, Thoth was an Egyptian god who was known for writing, wisdom, and magic. He was associated with order and justice. He was an advisor and mediator to the gods. Now, he was also known in other pantheons by different names. And I absolutely love anything and everything about Thoth.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you know this too, Phil. He was also believed to be Ningish Zeta.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was.
I might have read that, but I don't remember it.
He was also considered to be the son of Ereshkigal and Enki.
Okay.
And yeah. Lady Blind Wolf says, kind of makes you wonder if Aleister Crowley didn't get some inspiration for that particular tarot deck. Absolutely, yes. But I was thinking about that earlier because, okay, so he's also the equivalent of Hermes, the Greek god. And he was the messenger of the gods, protector of the travelers, and a guide of the dead to the underworld. So he was like the mediator between the living and the dead.
Yeah.
And he was the son of Zeus and Maya. So, I mean, many different names, but the same, what do they call that? Archetype, the same.
Yeah.
Believed to be the same person.
Yeah.
And but what I associate Thoth with is like the Emerald Tablets. And when I think about the Emerald Tablets, I think about Hermetic principles.
Yeah.
Or the Kybalion.
Yeah.
Do you kind of get that too?
Yeah, I do too. Because I think I know that they got the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, but I was told that that's like it's like added on later. It's like the original Hermetic teachings is from the Kybalion, was my understanding, and then it was added on. Like, what I'm talking about, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean.
Yes.
Like yes, by Doriel or something. I think it's Doriel is the author.
Yeah, yes, I think that Thoth the Atlantean was that, like, there's no proof that he is Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I do understand what you're saying there. And yeah, the Kybalion, I've read that like 3 times, and I think that is more like the Hermetic principles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I did last time, real quick, I want to acknowledge what Lady Blind Wolf put in here. She says, I don't know I kind of want to keep my distance from Crowley and seeing the deck, but I don't have it. Well, you know what? I mean, I definitely have my opinion about Aleister Crowley too, and I'll just keep it to myself. But yeah, I have his deck too, and I don't really use it. I'm still going to study it because I started to study it, and then I stopped because I found I was reading better with Rider Waite Smith, so I decided to dig into that. But yes, I kind of agree with you. So I'm going to read a little bit, if that's all right with you, Phil. I'm going to read a little bit from The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And this chapter is called The Life and Teachings of Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. So, like, there's a scene that starts in this chapter. So I'm going to read it real quick, and I'm going to try to get through it as quick as I can.
All right.
Thunder rolled, lightning flashed. The veil of the temple was rent from top to bottom. The venerable initiator, in his robes of blue and gold, slowly raised his jeweled wand and pointed with it into the darkness revealed by the tearing of the silken curtain. Behold the light of Egypt. The candidate in his plain white robe gazed into the utter blackness framed by the two great lotus-headed columns between which the veil had hung. As he watched, a luminous haze distributed itself throughout the atmosphere until the air was a mass of shining particles. The face of the neophyte was illumined by the soft glow as he scanned the shimmering cloud for some tangible object. The initiator spoke again. This light which ye behold is the secret luminance of the mysteries. Whence it comes, none knoweth, save the master of the light. Behold him. Suddenly, through the gleaming mist, a figure appeared, surrounded by a flickering greenish sheen. The initiator lowered his wand and, bowing his head, placed one hand edgewise against his breast in humble salutation. The neophyte stepped back in awe, partly blinded by the glory of the revealed figure. Gaining courage, the youth gazed again at the divine one. The form before him was considerably larger than that of a mortal man. The body seemed partly transparent so that the heart and the brain could be seen pulsating and radiant. As the candidate watched, the heart changed into an ibis and the brain into a flashing emerald. In its hand, this mysterious being bore a winged rod entwined with serpents. The aged initiator, raising his wand, cried out in a loud voice, "All hail thee, Thoth Hermes, thrice greatest. All hail thee, Prince of men. All hail thee who standeth upon the head of Typhon." At the same instant, a lurid, writhing dragon appeared, a hideous monster, part serpent, part crocodile, and part hog. From its mouth and nostrils poured sheets of flame, and horrible sounds echoed through the vaulted chambers. Suddenly, Hermes struck the advancing reptile with the serpent wound staff, and with snarling cry, the dragon fell over upon its side, while the flames about it slowly died away. Hermes placed his foot upon the skull of the vanquished Typhon. The next instant, with a blaze of unbearable glory that sent the neophyte staggering backwards against a pillar, the immortal Hermes, followed by streamers of greenish mist, passed through the chamber and faded into nothingness. Isn't that's just like, ooh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know, like there's even speculation that Thoth and Jesus are the same.
That's what I was ready to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, what did he say? He said, as Moses lifted the serpent, the staff of the serpent.
Yes.
So the Son of Man will be lifted. You know what I mean? So it's like that same correlation, and it's almost like it's the same. It's the same story.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And we were talking about when we were, discussing Atlantis, like, is this all allegory or did this stuff really happen?
Yeah.
I think both. I
Yeah.
think if we think about hermetically as above, so below, that
Yeah.
it happened. It's just that there's, when you retell a story, sometimes when it's almost like when you're relaying a dream or you're reliving a dream, you understand the symbolism within the dream and you will receive the message.
Yeah.
And I almost think that that's like, you know, maybe it's elaborate, I don't know, but it's a way to tell the story, but still give the message, because even we learn from our past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just cryptic, you know. It's hard, like when you say it's like it was both. I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of the stuff that they were trying to convey, like they didn't I don't know, I think it doesn't make sense to some of us sometimes because like it's not how the world is anymore. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Um, Lady Blind Wolf. Yes. Interesting, because I believe it's the Aztec culture, uh, quasi quasi quoto. I'm not sure if I'm saying that
What
right, but
what's the total?
yes,
Yeah.
the winged serpent. Yes, absolutely. You are, yes, and the serpent mount. Yes, the serpent mount. Absolutely, because that whole story made me think of Thoth,
Yeah.
you know? Yes, absolutely. So for those that have not read this, I figured like I won't read it all, but I will read stuff that I think is going to kind of clue people into what Manly P. Hall had as far as like his research, because he dug deep and he does kind of have his own conclusions, like right off the bat. Um, he's talking about Francis Barrett
Mm-hmm.
in his like Biographia Antiqua, if you're familiar. If God ever appeared in man, he appeared in him, as if evident both from his books and his Pymander, in which works he has communicated with the sum of the abyss, and the divine knowledge to all posterity, by which he has demonstrated himself to have not only inspired divine, to have been not only an inspired divine, but also a deep philosopher, obtaining his wisdom from God and heavenly things, and not from man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm sure you've obviously read the Kybalion, you've probably read it a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read it.
It's all applicable, the principles. I feel like if you apply those principles, it makes everything else make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe not for everybody, but I know it says that that book will come to you when you're ready.
Yeah. What is it? The divine Pymander?
Yes,
I want to read that. I haven't read that.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I wanted to order that not long ago. That's crazy.
Oh, I didn't read this either. But we talked last week. I don't know if I was talking about it when you came up, but Orpheus. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a little bit in here about that. It says Iamblichus averred that Hermes was the author of 20,000 books. Manetho, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, Manetho,
Mm-hmm.
increased the number to more than 36,000. Figures which make it evident that a solitary individual, even though he be overshadowed by divine prerogative, or yeah, I think I said that right, could scarcely have accomplished such a monumental labor. Among the arts and sciences which is affirmed, Hermes revealed to mankind were medicine, chemistry, law, art, astrology, music, rhetoric, magic, philosophy, geography, mathematics, especially geometry, anatomy, and oratory. Orpheus was similarly acclaimed by the Greeks. So now I don't just have, what we talked about before, like these, like, um, the different names that he has in all these different pantheons, am also thinking of Ophiuchus.
Yeah, that's what I thought of when you said that.
I mean, Orpheus and Asclepius were both sons of Apollo.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that, like the Hippocratic, because the doctors and stuff that they
Yeah.
make, yeah, the Hippocratic oath to Apollo, and yeah.
So we're all talking about the same thing, just different names.
Yeah.
He also goes on to say his transcendent learning caused Hermes to be identified with many of the early sages and prophets. I think he's still talking about Francis Barrett here. In his ancient mythology, oh no, now he's talking about Bryant. Sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit. In his ancient mythology, Bryant writes, I have mentioned that Cadmus was the same as the Egyptian Thoth, and it is manifest from his being Hermes and from the invention of letters being attributed to him. In the chapter on the theory of Pythagorean mathematics will be found the table of the original Cadmean letters. Oh, okay. Investigators believe that it was Hermes who was known to the Jews as Enoch.
Yeah.
Called by Kenealy the second messenger of God. Hermes was accepted into the mythology of the Greeks, later becoming the Mercury of the Latins. Oh, that's another thing. Yeah. In Roman mythology, he is Mercury.
Yeah.
So he was revered through the form of the planet Mercury because his body is nearest to the sun. Hermes of all creatures was nearest to God and became known as the messenger of the gods. And in your hand, underneath the pinky is the mount of Mercury, and that's where you find like when you have accomplished a skill, like you believe you have accomplished a skill, like something, you've learned it academically, you'll see these deep lines that show up on the mount of Mercury. And you find the lines of stigmata there, and those are for healers. All on Mercury, all on the Mount of Mercury, and they're accurate.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? So it's like when we talk about as above, so below, and we're talking about planets, and these planets are gods, and they all have these characteristics. One of the things I was talking about in the last episode was that these ancients use these stars as a way of communicating to us today. Because these planets or stars or whatever you want to call them, they're looking at the same sky we're looking at today.
Yeah.
So why? That's that code. It's the secret mysteries. It is that. Speaking of, same thing Jesus learned, the secret mysteries. Same thing Enoch learned. All these secret mystery schools, and they're teaching them about the stars and, the magic.
Astronomy.
Yeah.
Astrology. Well, it was astronomy back then, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But why would they give these planets or call these planets gods and give them certain type of an archetype to them, or a characteristic?
Yeah.
Because if you look at your birth chart and you see where these planets are, then you understand kind of like, oh, okay, so this is something I might struggle in. So it kind of tells me, the path I laid out for myself. It kind of shows me what I need to work on to upgrade. And, like Manly P. Hall's lecture on the Jacob's Ladder, he says, apply the planets, use the planets.
Yeah.
And every time you accomplish that, you move up the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not the biggest in astrology and stuff like that. I'm really not that well versed in it. Like, I don't know how to do a reading or anything like that. But like, there's this book called Secret History of the World by I can't remember his name, something Booth, Mark Booth.
Right.
And that was when I read it years ago, and that was when I first, it broke. It was basically like, he's not a Rosicrucian himself, but he was groomed by a lot of Rosicrucians to become one. He chose not to become one because he didn't like the secrecy. He wanted to be able to write about what he learned. But he basically broke down all the planets, especially Saturn, just all of, what is it? I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, your desire, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like all those are connected to like an emotion or like, who
Yeah.
we, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. To be our best person in how we love, to be the best person in um how we approach friendship, how we approach marriage, how we teach ourselves. All those planets kind of represent that. Like Saturn is our philosophy, it's the way we learn, and Venus is how we love, and Mercury's how we think. Jupiter is kind of like our ambition and our identity, and yeah. And so like the more that we um, use those to, I don't know, climb the ladder in that, to me it makes sense. And I think that if the ancients were trying to give us a message, that's how to do it, is through something that they know is going to be the same when we look at it
Yeah.
in the future. So regardless of whether a god or a goddess was real, by attributing these characteristics or attributes or whatever they are to these planets, then it's going to make it's going to make us look up, and we're going to see what they were seeing. So it's kind of a way to, I don't know, like document, almost map it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Phoenix is here. And they put some stuff in my group chat, so I love it. Okay, so next it says, in the Egyptian drawings of him, Thoth carries a waxen writing tablet and serves as the recorder during the weighing of the souls of the dead in the judgment hall of Osiris, a ritual of great significance. Hermes is of first importance to Masonic scholars because he was the author of the Masonic initiatory rituals, which were borrowed from the mysteries established by Hermes. Nearly all of the Masonic symbols are Hermetic in character. No wonder why I'm so interested in them.
And masonry, yeah.
Yeah. Pythagoras studied mathematics with the Egyptians, and from them gained his knowledge of the symbolic geometric solids. Hermes is also revered for his information of the calendar system. He increased the year from 360 to 365 days. It was him? Oh, just anyway.
Jeez.
Thus establishing a precedent which still prevails. The appellation, thrice greatest, was given to Hermes because he was considered the greatest of all philosophers, the greatest of all priests, and the greatest of all kings. It is worthy of note that the last poem of America's beloved poet, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, was a lyric ode to Hermes.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
There's this guy I follow on YouTube. His name's Archaic, and
oh yeah, yes.
He talks a lot about the old timeline and how everything's changed, and like he was talking about how the original calendar was 360 days.
Yeah.
And so he kind of went in a conspiracy direction with that. You know what I'm saying? Basically, so the fact that he's saying Hermes did it, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
I think, I like Lady Blind Wolf is talking about the Mayans and the Aztecs and the sun calendars, just like the Mounds State Park in Anderson. And they all have accredited the Mayans and the Aztecs with that. It's supposed to be 5 mounds that correlate with each season. Oh.
Was the Mayan calendar, is that based on the 360-day calendar then? or is it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
I'd have to do some research on that. That's crazy.
I know Enoch was, I think 364 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is extremely interesting then how we went from 360 to 365.
Yeah. Because I think it's even now. What is it now? It's like 365 and a third, I think, or something like that. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought.
I
thought
don't know. I don't know.
weird.
It is weird, but I think that if we just would go back to the darn 13-month calendar,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
I think it's what 12 months and a 5-day 13th month or something like that. But I don't know. It recognizes the moon cycle, and I think that would be a lot easier to follow. And I think it would be, I don't know, easier to maybe not even easier, more accurately predict things.
Yeah.
If you were looking to, like, to understand what maybe again the ancients were trying to tell us, in that manner.
Yeah.
So he goes on to talk about the mutilated Hermetic fragments. So on the subject of the Hermetic books, James Campbell Brown, in his History of Chemistry, has written, leaving the Chaldean and the earliest Egyptian periods of which we have remains, but no record, and from which no names of either chemists or philosophers have come down to us, we now approach the historic period when books were written, not at first upon parchment or paper, but upon papyrus. A series of early Egyptian books is attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, who may have been a real savant, or maybe a personification of a long succession of writers. Ooh, wow. He is identified by some with the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian Thoth or Tuti, who was the moon god, and is represented in ancient paintings as ibis-headed with the disk and crescent of the moon. The Egyptians regarded him as the god of wisdom, letters, and the recording of time. It is in consequence of the great respect entertained for Hermes by the old alchemists that chemical writings were called hermetic, and that the phrase hermetically sealed is still in use to designate the closing of a glass vessel by fusion, after the manner of chemical manipulators. We find the same root in the hermetic principles of Paracelsus. I'm not sure I'm saying that right.
Paracelsus.
Say that again.
Paracelsus, or
Yes. Thank you. And the Hermetic Freemasonry of the Middle Ages. Yeah. So, I mean, there again, magic.
alchemy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, among the fragmentary writings believed to have come from the stylus of Hermes are two famous works. The first is the Emerald Table, and the second is the Divine Pymander, or as it is more commonly called, the Shepherd of Men, a discussion of which follows. One outstanding point in connection with Hermes is that he was one of the few philosopher priests of pagandom, sorry about that, upon whom the early Christians did not vent their spleen. Some church fathers went so far as to declare that Hermes exhibited many symptoms of intelligence, and that if he only had been born in a more enlightened age, so that he might have benefited by their instructions, he would have been a really great man. It's just funny that he's saying that. In his Stromata, Clement of Alexandria, one of the few chroniclers of pagan lore whose writings have been preserved to this age, gives practically all the information that is known concerning the original 42 books of Hermes and the importance with which these books were regarded by both the temporal and spiritual powers of Egypt. Now, he does go on to, I mean, there's some pictures here, and like I said, for those that haven't read this, it's excellent. But you can follow along in the CIA.gov, and if you look up the secret teachings of all ages, you can find it there. There's like that's exactly what I have pulled up here, because I actually bought my copy and have it on Audible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so this way I have a physical copy in front of me. I can just actually scroll and look. But yeah, there's not a big write up here, but there's some of it. It's so we were talking about Clement of Alexandria. He described a ceremonial procession, and then there's a picture of it. So I mean, yeah, I still like magic, hermetic. It's yeah.
Yeah.
If like the Golden Dawn, you're familiar with that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think of like a lot of I mean a lot of the magic and the stuff that they were initiating were from this right here. It all is based upon the Hermetic principles.
Oh yeah. That's definitely. They're Rosicrucian too. They got Rosicrucian roots.
Oh yeah. Yeah, which is I've not totally looked into that, but I mean it's a religion or a spiritual belief, right?
Yep. Yep. It's pretty much the same thing as Masonry, man. They just have their own little stories and mystery. They have their own characters and archetypes in it. But yeah, it's the same. It's Masonry, really. It's the same thing. I mean, it's all the same. All teaches the same principles.
Ooh, oh wow. Okay. I'm so there's a little bit in here, and I'm not sure where it started, but it says master of all arts and sciences, perfect in all crafts, ruler of the three worlds, scribe of the gods, and keeper of the books of life, Thoth, Hermes, Trismegistus, the 3 times greatest, the first intelligencer, was regarded by the ancient Egyptians as the embodiment of the universal mind. While in all probability there actually existed a great sage and educator by the name of Hermes, it is impossible to extricate the historical man from the mass of legendary accounts which attempt to identify him with the cosmic principle of thought. Yeah. What's the first principle? All is mind, or all is mental, and nothing exists outside of the mental.
Yeah.
Or all is mind and nothing exists outside. Yeah.
Yeah. That's their what is it? It's mind over matter. That's where that term comes from. Which came first. Like that's the ancient argument. Like, was it matter before mind, or was it mind before matter?
Well, think about what the collider, the CERN, how it like pulls particles or whatever, particle collider or whatever that's called in there. So they're creating mass from technically nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's attempting to manifest something from nothing, kind of like we're able to do with our thoughts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. So we talked about this man, Singer, but this picture that is in this book it's to illustrate something. And in this, whatever the sacred ceremony, they're talking about it. For the first advances, the singer, bearing some of the symbols of music, so they're talking about this ritual again, for they say that he must learn 2 of the books of Hermes, and one of which contains the hymn of the gods, the second of the regulations for the king's life, And after the singer advances the astrologer with a horologe in his hand and a palm, the symbols of astrology. He must have the astrological books of Hermes, which are 4 in number, always in his mouth.
Hmm.
Of these, one is about the order of the fixed stars that are visible, and another with the conjunctions and luminous appearances of the sun and moon, and the rest respecting their risings. I mean, they're talking about a birth chart here. Next in order advances the sacred scribe with wings on his head, and in his hand a book and rule, in which were writing ink and the reed with which they write. And he must be acquainted with what are called hieroglyphics and know about cosmography and geography, the position of the sun and the moon, and about the 5 planets, and also the description of Egypt and the chart of the Nile. So this is like some type of ceremony that they're talking about. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna imagine an initiation.
Yeah.
But it's whatever centered around Thoth. It reminds me when I was reading about the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, like they have a ceremony where you are initiated, and it's pretty intense the way they describe it.
Yeah.
So
Ritual.
yeah.
I think it all back to the same thing. I think they're all doing the same thing. I mean, as far just their own little spins on it.
Yeah. I also read oh my goodness, I'm having such a brain fart when it comes to names.
Gardner.
But, it was it was by Levy Eliphas Levy, but it was translated by shoot. Can't even think of his name. But the book was about magic. And it was the same thing. It wasn't, this one wasn't from the Golden Dawn, but it was another book about magic. And they're talking about a very similar ritual, but it was black magic.
Yeah.
And so it makes me think of some of these secret orders, you know, when they're practicing this magic, which everything is about intent, you know. So, I mean, I think Thoth represents pure Hermetic magic as it's light magic. It's magic of, it's alchemy. It's true alchemy, which alchemy is like,
and so kind of like put their own spin on it, and like that's what makes it black magic. It's not original. Is that, am I following you right?
I just think that, yeah, I think that they're following the same technique.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think intent and the fruits of your labor are the difference, you know, like it's what you're trying to manifest that makes it either black magic or magic from the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a few books by Eliphas Levy, and he kind of gives me, I like him, but he kind of gives me some dark vibes sometimes in some of the stuff he writes.
Yeah, I mean, the book that gosh darn it, I've got it on Audible, so I can't recall the name of it right off the hand, but it's yeah, it's one of them about magic, and I think it was translated by John Michael Greer.
Yeah, I like him.
So in there he talks about knowing about black magic, and he straight up said, if you are dabbling in that, if you're headed towards that you have doomed yourself. And it's not because of, you know, anything other than your own intentions will be returned to you. It's like that whole universal law that what you put out is gonna come back to you 10 times, and it's gonna be twisted. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be it's the same as it was when you first put it out there.
Yeah.
So, And so he's like, not, I haven't finished it because it was getting ready to go into the whole thing about black magic, and I am just not ready to know those things. But I mean, he does definitely know about it, so I can understand why you have that feeling, you know what I mean? But he does warn people, a very clear, warning that, this isn't for the faint of heart. And if you're willing to do this, you may as well know you've doomed yourself. Like, well, already then. I'm not going there. you know. Uh, um, so we're gonna definitely keep this to an hour today, and we're definitely gonna do a part 2 on this.
Yeah.
But the rest of what I was reading there was about um this ceremony that was part of this picture in here. So if you have the book, take a look at it. But so Manly P. Hall does go on to talk about the Book of Thoth. Now, this is not the Book of Thoth that I have here, written by Aleister Crowley. So this is something different. So while Hermes still walked the earth with men, he entrusted to his chosen successors the sacred Book of Thoth. This work contained the secret processes by which the regeneration of humanity was to be accomplished, and also served as the key to his other writings. Nothing definite is known concerning the contents of the Book of Thoth, other than that its pages were covered with strange hieroglyphic figures and symbols, which gave to those acquainted with their use unlimited power over the spirits of the air and the subterranean divinities. When certain areas of the brain are stimulated by the secret processes of the mysteries, the consciousness of man is extended, and he is permitted to behold and enter into the presence of the superior gods. The Book of Thoth described the method whereby this stimulation was accomplished. In truth, therefore, it was the key to immortality. You remember what you were talking about, Thoth, the Atlantean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember there was this order of brothers of the light or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember them saying that they had the true copy. But again, it's not the same. It's still not the same, but they say that they knew all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, again, in order to actually have privy to this knowledge, you had to become a member of that brotherhood.
Oh yeah, that's what they all say. They got
yeah. So, according to legend, the Book of Thoth was kept in a golden box in the inner sanctuary of the temple. There was but one key, and this was in the possession of the Master of the Mysteries, the highest initiate of the Hermetic Arcanum. He alone knew what was written in the secret book. The Book of Thoth was lost to the ancient world with the decay of the mysteries, but its faithful initiates carried it sealed in the sacred casket into another land. The book is still in existence and continues to lead the disciples of this age into the presence of the immortals. No other information can be given to the world concerning it now, but the apostolic succession from the first Hierophant, initiated by Hermes himself, remains unbroken to this day. And those who are peculiarly fitted to serve the immortals may discover the priceless document if they will search sincerely and tirelessly for it. Okay, well, I'll read this last part since we're almost on to the next one. It says, it has been asserted that the Book of Thoth is, in reality, the mysterious tarot of the Bohemians. And now, this was something that Lady Blindwolf asked, is there some type of inspiration there? And I would say that there would be some inspiration for Aleister Crowley's Thoth. So they're saying that the Book of Thoth is in reality the mysterious tarot of the Bohemians, a strange emblematic book of 78 leaves, which has been in possession of the gypsies since the time when they were driven from their ancient temple, the Serapeum. According to the secret histories, the gypsies were originally Egyptian priests. There are now in the world several secret schools privileged to initiate candidates into the mysteries, but in nearly every instance, they lighted their altar fires from the flaming torch of Hermes, in his Book of Thoth, revealed to all mankind the one way, quote, one way, and for the ages, the wise of every nation and every faith have reached immortality by the quote unquote way established by Hermes in the midst of the darkness for the redemption of mankind.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I mean, Aleister Crowley has his own book of the law,
Yeah.
which they use. I think it was kind of like taking them into the practice of Thelema, which is kind of like do what you will, do as thou will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and that was like kind of given to him by this angel that was giving Aleister Crowley the law. And I have that on Audible too. I have so many things on Audible. I should have it to where I can reference it, but it's not that I can't reference it. It's just
Yeah.
but anyway, I when I was listening to that, it was very different than like the Kabbalion or like Hermetic principles, or should I say, it was a different kind of spirituality for me. It was almost it just didn't feel the same. So the tarot of the Bohemians, I feel I don't know. If they were Egyptian priest, then and there were, quote unquote possibly 78 leaves of this, um that's sounds like tarot. You
Yeah.
know, but what it is, I don't know. I really don't. I guess that would be someone else's guess, not mine.
Maybe that's inspiration from the tarot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. The way they keep talking about one way and the way, um, I think I asked you this before, and I think you have. You're familiar with the law of one,
Mm-hmm.
so which is like, you know, this woman named Carla something was regressed, and in a regression, this consciousness came through her, calling itself Ra, but it was a collective consciousness. And through this woman in many regressions sessions, they wrote this law of one material.
Yeah.
And there's one part where they ask Ra something about tarot. And what I remember reading was that the consciousness replied that the tarot was correct, except for the meaning given to the star card was not exactly what was intended.
Hmm.
And I'm like, when I did a deep dive into the star card, the symbolism reminds me more of like our consciousness, and being extremely self-aware of us and who we are in the universe, our immortal self,
Yeah.
where the typical standard uh, definition given to the card or the meaning of the card is hope.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I thought, ooh. But I mean, how would, if they're talking about the consciousness, this ancient consciousness or whatever it is, this that's been there, this immortal consciousness, what tarot are they referring to?
Yeah.
You know, so maybe they're referring to this one.
Right. The
But
first
yeah.
78.
And when you think about what uh the gypsies were known for, think about what they were known for.
Yeah.
Fortune telling,
Yeah.
divination. They had these gifts of divination, but they were, people thought they were, well, for one, they were extremely nomadic, but they were always getting in trouble for telling people, about their death date and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they were like, yeah, no, 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 that's not good. You're not supposed to. But how would they know that unless they're like tapped into these Akashic records and stuff? Because, your hand doesn't tell you when you're going to die. And you might see these things, but,
Yeah.
with free will, you're not, there's nothing set in stone.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Fortune telling is only a guide.
Right.
In my opinion, I'm sure people predict things, but I think a true prediction that comes true is because that person chose it.
Yeah, because it's like it's so I don't know because it's not really concrete for me because I feel like there's a lot of people out there who claim to be fortune tellers and they're just like, I mean, they're getting money, you know what I mean? But if you believe what they say, I mean, I don't know. I kind of always been my own fortune teller. I'll take somebody's fortune that they tell me if I really think that they're you know they want to let me know this. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
We have, yes, absolutely. I do know what you mean, and I agree. Um, we have less than 10 minutes left, and I've missed quite a bit in chat. And these ladies are really talking about some good stuff. So I'm gonna
Nah.
read something real quick. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Yeah, because Crowley and Gardner had actually studied that, and supposedly Crowley had taken it to a whole new level. Yes. Yes. I think so, because I think that his tarot deck uh, came out after he had already left the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So it's like he had been working on that tarot deck for, I mean, a long time. So he was given this project, like a lot of these initiates were, to create a tarot deck. And he began the work on it, but it took him, what, 20 some years, 30 years to create the tarot. So it was released after um, he had already left the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So in the meantime, he had already uh, I think, published the Book of the Law, which meant he had already begun Thelema. And so there is a great possibility that the his tarot was more based upon the previous before Thelema, because they say that like this his tarot deck has nothing to do with Thelema. It's actually more like the old Marseille, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's see. But Gardner was founding Wicca. He saw to that Crowley was kicked out. Oh, aha. Well, Crowley was definitely very much like he was going to do his own thing, and it didn't matter what anybody said. Crowley actually arranged to have his wedding night spent at one of the pyramids. Ooh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Gardner kicked off Crowley, and Crowley kicked off L. Ron Hubbard. Oh,
Yeah. That's
yes.
where it really gets deep too, man.
Wow, yeah.
L. Hubbard, that's the Scientologist guy, right?
Yes, yes, it is. And Phoenix can tell you some stuff. Actually, they say that the Mormons culturally appropriated a lot of stuff from the Freemasons also. Oh, now that's interesting. Now, I have an uncle who is a priest in the Mormon church, but he told me unless I become a Mormon, the the material that he was giving me was all I was ever going to get, and that's it. So they're secretive too.
Yeah, the Masons, they say, actually help like create their rituals and stuff like that. I don't remember where I read up on that, but yeah, they're very closely related.
Wow. So actually, they say that Crowley could be related to Barbara Bush. I've heard that too. But clearly, Crowley suffered from mental illness as well as drug addiction. It's been said that he was inappropriately messed with. Oh, as a kid, hold on here. As a kid, the maids were encouraged to be inappropriate with him, and his mom's maid was fired and supposedly a victim of Jack the Ripper. Holy smokes, man.
I never knew that.
No, we should have had her up here, huh?
Yeah.
Actually, if you go and read the Wiccan, read Gardner says that do no harm and it will return to you 3 times. Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's anybody's imagine if you're going to put out something majorly intense in the universe, I think that the times that it's returned to you depends on how much you put out there. You know what I mean? Gardner also said never to do any type of spell work or manifestation that would benefit yourself or take payments for any readings or spell work that you do. Ooh, yeah. Well, I mean, everybody has something they believe in, and usually you're more inclined to believe what you believe because of your own experiences. You know what I mean? So like our life shapes us into what we believe, what makes sense to us, what resonates. So, and some people I understand, they're going to be stricter with themselves or they're going to be lenient. I don't know. Actually, left-hand path is the actual term black magic comes from when people would do spell work at night. I did not know that either.
Yeah, I never heard that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, Eliphas Levy says something different about it, but I mean, who knows? I mean, that could be. I can't say either way. Yeah, but it also says that the gypsies originated from India too because they had Asian DNA. Yeah, I've heard many different things about gypsies. And I will tell you that reading the Secret Teachings of All Ages is the first time that I had heard that they were Egyptian priests.
Hmm.
Yeah, honestly, because I've never heard that before. And we have to remember that this book was published in 1925 or 28. So this was all knowledge that had accumulated, and that the publishing, he had this completed before then. So, and he was 25. So, I mean, I think that gypsies were all over the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it says they.
Huh?
I've always thought they traveled, didn't they? They were
Yeah,
always.
they did. They were very nomadic. Actually, they prefer to be called Romani or ROMs, and they're very devout Christians. Okay, which ones? Because I started reading these comments a little late, but I've taken money for readings, but I don't anymore. I had to take money because I wasn't working. Now that I have SSI, I won't. Yeah. I think that if you're going to take money for readings, like I work on Spiritual Blossom, and there's what they pay by the minute. It's not like I don't even know. I feel like these people just want whatever guidance you can give them. And there are times that I'll sit on those hotlines for I could sit on there for 4 hours and not make any money at all. So, I mean, I think that there's something to say for your time. You know what I mean? And that, like, I see a lot of people take donations, but I don't judge because I feel like everybody has their own story. Everybody has a reason for doing what they do, and it's not my place to judge. So I don't even put it out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not everybody can do what you do. Why? Why? Why is that?
Because
everything that you have learned up to this point is because you walked in your shoes and no one else did.
yeah.
So whatever you give to someone else is completely an extension of yourself, a creation of yourself. If you take money for something like that, the person that is giving you the money, just like, I don't know if I shared this with you guys. I don't know if I did. I was giving free readings at a friend of mine's wedding, and a Native American fella was like, I can't take this reading for free. And I'm like, well, sure you can. He goes, no, I just don't feel right. This is a give and take situation. You're giving of yourself. He put tobacco in a napkin and he wrapped it up and he gave it to me. And I was just so, I don't know. It just made me feel really good that he was like, he understood that there was an exchange happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just really, really nice. And I love giving readings for free. In fact, that's all I've really been doing outside of working for Spiritual Blossom. But, you know, kind of like what Phoenix said, you know, you also have to have a way to support yourself. And if that's all you have, you're still supporting yourself. And it's really nobody's business, no matter what you do. But I mean, we can all share our beliefs, but that's all we're doing is sharing our beliefs. But we believe the way we believe because of our own experiences.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just don't pass any judgment. I just leave it as it is. You do you, boo, right? Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh, see, that's it. And you know what? I still have this tobacco too. I have it wrapped up because it just kind of means something to me now. You know what I mean? It was so special.
Cool.
You know, because there is an exchange happening when you give someone a reading. There is a bit of an exchange, but I mean, just somebody telling you that they enjoyed the reading or they were happy that you gave them the reading is also an exchange. You know what I mean? Gratitude. You feel that. So I mean, yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we are at the hour, and we still have a little bit to go over because I know I got off track here at the end, but there's still a lot of information on Thoth, and especially the stuff like what Manly P. Hall covers here. And I'm not going to shake a stick at it, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, there's a lot. He talks about the poi mandris. Am I
Yeah.
saying that right? Which is which is more about Hermes Trismegistus. So I mean, there's really quite a bit in here. And like I said, if
That's
you
actually a really good one.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go to CIA.gov, you can, you know, check this out with us because the pictures that are in the book are also here. And if you click on them, it'll like, you know, bring it up for you and you can actually look at it. And then, you know, there's like stuff about each picture. So I love this book again because I respect Manly P. Hall. And this kind of goes back to what you and I have been touching on is like, or should I say, Masons, I think, were collectors of people with all this knowledge. I don't think that the Masons were giving out the knowledge. I think they are collectors of it.
Yeah.
And Manly P. Hall came to the Masons with this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that, once they, had him, then I think that there was a little bit of a, okay, well, you've shared this, but you think you're going to share everything?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, okay, well, now you're part of something. You're going to have rules and stuff to follow. Yeah. Yes. That's what they used tobacco to cleanse at Maria's wedding. It was a beautiful wedding. Yes, it was wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Phil. And like I said, the next one, part 2 of this particular episode, we will pick up at the Poimandris, whatever, which is more about the vision of Hermes. So we'll get into that one next. And I appreciate you being here. Is there anything you want to add, or? Oh, I lost him. I was like, is there anything you want to add? I lost him. That's all right. Thank you very much, Phoenix. Appreciate that. It was fun. I wish we could go on a little bit longer to finish this, but we will pick it up. And I think Phil just got lost connection or something. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. And man, I'm telling you what, the knowledge that you guys bring to this chat is phenomenal. I love it. That was more of a subtraction. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you being here, and we'll come back on for part 2 of this episode here and learn some more about Hermes Trismegistus. And I love you guys, so we'll definitely talk soon. And thanks for being here.